Oh, hello. Hey everyone, it's Natalie, also known as Knitty Natty. Welcome to episode 115 of the Love in Stitches podcast. Today is Friday, August 20th, 2021. It is a gorgeous day here in New York City. We've had amazing weather all week. Every single morning I've been able to crack open the window and let in some fresh air. Somebody joked, how can you have fresh air in New York City? Well, actually, it's quite nice where we are because we are closer to the Hudson River and we're also very high up, so we can actually get a little bit of fresh air. As you walk in towards the center of the city, it starts to get muggier. The air is more still because there's not as much like breeze blowing because we're near a waterway. So we actually do get some fresh air and that's been really, really nice. So I'm gonna enjoy it for these next like few weeks, maybe a couple months, because even when it's like chilly outside, I think it will still be nice to have the window open for just a little bit to let in some fresh air and let our apartment breathe. Anyway, I hope you're having a wonderful, marvelous week. I'm not wearing any knitting today, but I am wearing one of my favorite McKinney Knittery t-shirts that says Getting Knit Done, which I think is super cute. I wear knitting t-shirts pretty much every single day now. I might need to bump up my wardrobe a little bit and have a few more options for my knitting t-shirts, because I feel like I'm always like rotating my favorites and like I'm ready to like let go of some and like get some new ones, you know what I mean? So maybe I need to do some shopping. I saw a really cute knitting t-shirt on my friend the other day when I was in Tennessee, and it was like 4 food items. One was a sushi roll and it was like a little yarn. It was like hank of yarn and the sushi roll. And then it was like ramen, and like the little ramen pieces were, I think maybe the chopsticks were knitting needles. And then it was like boba tea and the little boba pieces were balls of yarn. I would love to find that t-shirt. I think that's so cute. And I searched on the internet for like 10 minutes. That's all I was willing to give to it. Anyways, if you know places to get cute knitting t-shirts, let me know. Okay, let's talk about finished objects, because I do have a couple of finished objects here. Socks, of course, and I have some new projects to show you today. Hooray! New stuff that isn't socks. All right, so my first finished object are my Tia's Terrific Threads 12 feet deep self-striping socks. I started these during sock week, and I got one finished. Here's the tag. I got one finished apart from the heel during sock week. I need to take off I like it when tags come with light bulb stitch markers. I keep them. I don't use the colorful ones very often, but I do like that. So I'm gonna keep that, but we no longer need the tag because the project is finished. There it goes. Okay, I had, when I last podcasted, the heels to do. So I have finished the heels, the afterthought heels. And I did a method. I did put this in my project page, I'm pretty sure. I think I did. But I did a method that I learned from Susan B. Anderson in her Smooth Operator socks, where you just do like a knit two together. I think it's just a knit two together. And it gives you a different type of like decreased look than when you do the slip slip knit and like the 2 knits in between and stuff like that. So I don't really know what I like better. But I do love how the striping turned out on this sock. So I knew I was going to just be using the self-striping yarn for the whole sock. So I decided to do an afterthought heel so that I wouldn't disrupt the striping. My typical formula for socks is that I'm going to do a short row heel, the fish lips kiss heel, where I would go back and forth on the heel, and that would change up the striping, and then eventually it would get back to right, but I didn't want to do that. So you can see here between green, and then this is like a really dark blue. I know it's probably coming across black, but this one's black, this one's dark blue. So between the green and the blue, I put in some waste yarn on half of my stitches, and then I finished the sock because I already know how many rows I need to do for my foot. And then I came back, well actually then I made the second sock, and then when I was done with both, I came back and I took out the waste yarn, and then I knit the heel. So now I have this nice like bullseye look. Looks really, really good. So I've got a tutorial on how to do the afterthought heel with waste yarn. I actually have one how to do it without waste yarn too, but for self-striping, I really like the waste yarn. I think this is just a little bit easier, to be honest, with waste yarn, picking up all those stitches, but also you don't have to cut out any of your main yarn, so you don't lose any rows for the stripe. So like, I still have all my green rows and all my dark blue rows, and I think that looks really nice. And then as far as choosing which like color to start with, for the heel, I usually try to pick like some of my favorite colors or colors that I feel like best represents the socks that I'm making. And since these were Shark Week socks, I feel like the gray, the blue, and the red really shouted like Shark Week to me. So I chose that, and I think it looks really, really good. They look mostly even. You know, self-striping socks never really come out perfectly even. You kind of have to manipulate them. I think on the toe here, on one of the socks, I was using up more of the navy blue. And so I ended up doing like 1/2 row less so that I had enough navy blue to Kitchener. So, you know, you just kind of have to manipulate things, but these are all done. And then I have, oh, I'm sipping on my second cup of coffee, by the way. It's still morning, drinking coffee, feeling good, weather's great. And I have a bright, beautiful pair of socks. Actually, it's so bright outside, it's almost hard to see. It's kind of washing these out. These are like neon, bright, beautiful. I love them. I really liked working with this yarn. This is Yarn O'Clock, my first time working with Yarn O'Clock. She was one of our Sock Week sponsors this year. And the colorway is Tropical Flamingo. So I also don't need this tag. I'm just throwing them on the bed, by the way. When I clean up later, I go throw them in the trash. Okay, so I started these when we left for our Jamaica vacation, which we took a few weeks ago for our anniversary. And I started them, did I start them in the taxi? I think I might have started them, or Uber, or whatever we're in, Lyft, something like that. I think I started them like in the car, in the dark. I had my little neck light on, and I knit on them like while we were waiting for the plane and everything. And I think I switched my project once we actually got on the plane, but I don't really remember. So anyway, I started these while we were in Jamaica. I did a little bit of them, and then I mostly finished them up last week. I had one sock done, right? Now I'm forgetting. It's been a minute. But I did the whole other sock, and I really, really like wanted to be done with all of my socks by the time I came back from Tennessee. And I quickly, not quickly, I kind of realized towards the end of the week, that was a lot of knitting. And so I had one sock left, one of these socks left when I was traveling home, and I knit on it on the plane. I knit on it a ton. And then I just kind of worked on it like here and there. And we were watching Bachelor in Paradise on Monday night, and I finished it. It was done, or something like that. Now I don't remember, but something like that. So these kind of just like got done quickly. I mean, I love doing vanilla socks. These could not have been easier because they were just one color. I didn't do any contrasting. So when I was done, I just had 2 ends to weave in. Love that. I did these from the top down, 60 stitches, 20 rounds of 1x1 rib, 40 rounds for the leg. Fish Lips Kiss heel. There you can see that one looks a little different than the Afterthought heel. I do 65 rounds for the foot and a square toe. And again, I try my hardest to put all of my notes for every project, but also socks, like my numbers and everything, into Ravelry. So check out my Ravelry project pages and you should see that there. So after I finished these socks, not only did I have 0 socks on the needles, I had no current whips. And I'm not counting designs, and I'm not counting my scrappy blankets. I did have obviously those, but I had 0 like fresh whips, nothing, which I have probably not had ever. I don't really even know. Like there's probably been a couple times in the last 10 years that has happened, but it is so rare for me to be working. First of all, I was working singularly on one project, and then to have no whips at all, I was feeling super smug after that. It only lasted for a few hours because then I cast on my next projects, which I'm going to show you now. All right, so my first new cast on, you saw me swatch for it last week, is the long summer cardigan. So let me talk swatch real quick. Oh, and yarn. So I am using Moon Glow Yarn Company. It's an 80/20 base, merino nylon, and the colorway is Aspen. This is my main color. I am using some other colors, and it's knitting up beautifully, I have to say. So I swatched first one needle size down and it was a little bit tight. Then I swatched again on the recommended needle size and thought it looked kind of loose, and I measured it loose. So I ordered new needles because I actually needed a 2.5 and I didn't have that. And I swatched again. I don't know if you can tell my swatches are getting smaller. I swatched again and this was too small. So I went back and I measured what was my second swatch. So here we go. First, second, and third. You can see my, I feel like this tells a story of like how into the swatching that I was. Like, yeah, I'm gonna do it. And then like, all right, maybe not that much. And then like, all right, this is it. I went back to my middle swatch, my second swatch that I made, and measured it again. And I don't know if I had mismeasured or because it was like fully dry. I don't know what happened, but it ended up being the best and closest gauge. And so I ended up going with the recommended needle size on this pattern, which is a US 3. So I'm keeping all of these swatches just in case I need them or need to refer to them. But what I usually do is I will like just put them in my float totes. I lift up the liner and I put them underneath the liner just so they're not, the ends and stuff aren't bothering me. But I do hang on to my swatches until I'm fully done with my project. So lots and lots of swatching that I had to do there, but I know it's worth it in the end so that I can get a garment that fits me as best as possible. Darn it, I'm in the middle of a row. I didn't really think about that when I was like, oh, I'm gonna podcast today. But I have started the long summer cardigan. This is a pattern by Joji Locatelli. I'm teaching a class on this right now, or we're 1 week in. It's been really, really fun. But I have been working on this. I just started it 2 days ago. And I've already done quite a bit. I'm working on the back piece right now, and I just couldn't wait to get my first color in. So I am putting in, I've got them over here, also Moonglow Yarn Company. This is the 11 Stitches Fade set. Of course, it is all pinks. So as I'm working this cardigan and I'm doing those contrasting color stripes, I'm going to be changing to each of the different mini skeins. So there's the first color. I'm done with that one for the back right now. Of course, I'll have the same on the front. I'm not sure about the sleeves. I'm gonna see where they line up with the body of the sweater, but I've got that color into the back right now. It doesn't take much yarn at all. Oh, and I just love it. It's so beautiful. I'm so excited. So this is gonna be a long-term project for sure. This section, you have to do purl through the back loop, which after 2 rows, actually, it started to feel a little bit easier. So it's a labor of love for myself, I guess, because I'm making it for myself, but I'm already enjoying it so much. Sorry, early in the morning, and well, it's not really early, but early in my day, I guess, and I haven't talked much yet. But I am loving it so far. And I just keep picking it up to show you. I'm so excited. It's going to be very motivating to go to the next color and the next color and the next color. I think I'm getting kind of close here to where I'm going to be stopping and waiting until our class on Monday. So, you know, having kind of this project to focus on has been good. You know, it makes it go a little bit faster, if you will. Right now I have this project in a zippered project bag. I've gone ahead and pulled out a Halloween project bag because I'm already ready. Like September 1st is Halloween season for me. It's fall season. It's all things pumpkin. So I'm already ready. So I've got my Halloween bag out that I've had for several years. But I will probably end up putting this project in my 5 skein float tote so I can have all the pinks with me when I need them. And then if I take it out and about with me somewhere, like today we're going to the movies, I'm going to be taking it because I'm just on the stockinette section. I will have all of these like in the float tote ready to go. And since they're 50-gram skeins, I can kind of squish like 2 per cup in there. So that's my plan. And then I have another new sweater. Another new project. These are my 2 whips. This one I've gotten a 3 skein float tote. So let's tell the swatch story on this one. By the way, I put out a video about 5 things you should do before you knit a sweater, and swatching is one of them. Getting a gauge swatch, it's so much more than just getting your number of stitches per inch. It really tells you a lot about the yarn and the colors together and everything. So I also swatched for my other new cast on. So this is a block swatch. I was practicing my color work too because I haven't done color work in a while, and I have not ever made a colorwork sweater, I don't think. Actually, you know, now that I'm thinking about it, I believe I did make a baby sweater for somebody for commission, but I've never made a yoked colorwork sweater for myself. So this is gonna be the first time for me, and I'm really excited about it. So down here, I did just stockinette, and then I used the same needle to do the color work. And in the pattern, it is suggested to go up a needle size for the color work. And so I thought I would see if I needed to do that. And sure enough, I do. Down here, I was getting 4.5 stitches per inch. And up here, I'm getting 5 stitches per inch. So it's a little tighter. So I'm gonna go up a needle size like the pattern recommends. When I do my color work, that way I won't have like the, hopefully not like a bunch of tightness here as I switch from stockinette to color work. That's what I'm really hoping. The yarn that I am using, I have seen a lot of people use this yarn lately. So it is Blue Sky Fibers. That's the company, and the yarn base is called Woolstock. And this darker color is cast iron. I think it is on here somewhere. Yes, cast iron. So my main color is the darker color, and it comes in these 150 gram skeins. So it's a big skein. And then my pink is called Quartz Crystal. And all the colors I think also come in 50 gram skeins. So I've got that one in just 50 gram skeins. And here is the start of my project. So here we go, let me show you what I was talking about. So in the float tote, which by the way, I just took out all the cups except for one, just so I could fit my big ol' cake in there. So underneath the liner, I will just pick that up, stick my swatch down in there, like laying it flat, right? And then I'll put the liner back on the top of it. And that's just so like all the strings don't bother and twist with my yarns. And then my swatch is always with me if I need to refer to it or anything. So I have just gotten cast on the, oh, hello. Okay. Obviously that's not gonna go over my head. I wasn't trying to, but I have just gotten the neck cast on. This has got a fold over hem, so I'm gonna be folding it over here soon, and it's gonna have a nice finished edge to it. This yarn is different than anything I've worked with before. It's definitely like a little woolier, but it's very lofty and it's not too scratchy. Like I think it's gonna be good. I'm definitely gonna want something on like a tank top so that it's not like itching my stomach. I feel like that tends to be pretty sensitive, but I think it's gonna be really, really nice. This is gonna be one of my Rhinebeck sweaters that I'm making with my friend Rebecca, and she has already made hers. She's got the same main color. Well, I actually copied her main color. She's got the same main color, and then we have different contrast colors. So if you see 2 people walking around with the Lume sweater, oh, by the way, I didn't even say that. This is the Lume sweater. I think the designer is Sari Nordland, but it will be written in the text somewhere when I'm talking about this, and I'll have the project page linked down below. But what was I saying? Oh yeah, that's the designer, I forgot to say. I'm making the Lume sweater. So if you see 2 people walking around with the Lume sweater, it's me and my friend Rebecca. So those are all the projects that I have going right now. I'm probably gonna cast on some socks because I just need a more portable project that I can take with me. Like if we're headed down the street to one of our local bars, I'm bringing, you know, a float tote, I'm bringing a sweater with me, but it has to be on a point where I don't have to do too much concentrating or looking because it is kind of dark in bars. So I need to cast on a sock project soon, but I haven't picked what yet. I did want to show you an acquisition. When I was in Tennessee, I picked up a skein of Raven Moon Dye Works. And I got this color, which is called Ghost Stories. I really, really like this. So I've got plans for it here soon that I'm going to be working on. I really, really like Raven Moon Dye Works. So it was cool to be able to see, like, Bliss stocks her yarn because she's in Tennessee, so it was really nice to be able to see different colors in person and pick one out. So that's what I ended up getting, and I had shipped it to myself along with a bunch of coffee because my suitcase was packed. So I just got that package yesterday and opened it up, and I was like, oh, a gift to myself. How nice of me. How nice of past me to send this to me. Anyway, let's do some questions. So if you have any questions for me, head to the Love and Stitches Ravelry group, which is also where our make-alongs are hosted, and go to the Ask Me thread. I'm gonna do my best to answer as 4 to 6 questions a week, and stay on top of everything so that your questions are answered. Question number 1 is from MD Benoit, I believe. Hi Natalie, how many sets of needles and how many loose ones do you have? How do you store the loose ones, especially the double pointed needles, if you have any? I constantly lose some of the needles in my set. I only have one right now, and we won't mention the double pointed needles. Love your podcast. You are always so full of energy. Well, you know what? I was gonna grab my needles and I totally forgot, so I will be right back. I keep all of my needles, hooks, and everything in this zippered pouch. This is a project bag from, I think it's called like Danica Studio. It's got a really heavy duty zipper. Yeah, Danica Studio. I got this as part of some swag from a retreat. So I do not know where you can purchase it. Maybe at Hill Country Weavers, because that's where it came from. So inside I have even more pouches to keep everything organized. This is from Erin Lane Bags. I've had it for many, many years. It's one of their interchangeable needle sets. So I have 2 interchangeable needle sets. They're both from Knit Picks. I have the 5-inch tips, and then behind that I have my short set for 16-inch needles. And I keep 32-inch and 24-inch cords in here. And I have like a little case with the little stoppers. And I also keep I might do a more in-depth video about this eventually, a needle gauge in there, okay? And then, oh, you asked how many loose needles I have? I do not have any loose needles anymore that are the same size as the ones in my interchangeable set. I got rid of all of those. I gave them to students at my school because I realized I wasn't using them. I like my interchangeables way more. So I only have loose needles, they're all in here, for sizes 3 and down, okay? And I've got quite a few in different lengths. I might need to go through and organize that a little bit more. And then I have one set of double pointed needles. Well, not one set. I have one of each of 0. Oh, no, this is 0, 2 sets of 1s, 2 sets of 2s, and 1 set of 3. I only got these recently to do private lessons, and I haven't even needed to use them yet, so they have not been opened. What else is in here? I've got crochet hooks in a plastic bag. Oh man. And then I've got all my extra cords, like I've got some really long cords. I've got 40s, they're labeled on the plastic bag, 40s. I've even got a 60-inch cord if you ever need that, 47. And then I have like extra 24s and 32s. Those are just in plastic bags as well. And I have a whole bunch of extra stoppers from Knit Picks because they come in like every time you buy needle tips, they come like that. And literally the rest of what's in here is extra needle tips, all from Knit Picks if I need them. So yeah, I'll have to do something a little more in-depth later and show that, but I like how I have everything fitting in here together. I realized I do not use my loose, like single circular needles. Literally everything's in here. It's a little heavy, but if I needed to just grab it and take it with me, I totally could. 2 interchangeable sets, 1 5-inch tip, 1, I think they're like 3-inch tip, and then double pointed needles, and I only have single circulars for size 3 and down. So there you go. that is what I have. Next question is from SV Mares. Hey Natalie, I recently started binging your podcast on YouTube and I am hooked. Anyway, I'm an avid knitter but would love to dip into crochet. I would love to try out a class near me, but they always sell out quickly. So do you have any videos that you would suggest I watch to help get me started on my own? Thank you. Oh, that's a bummer they sell out so fast. I wonder if your local store has private lessons. That might be something you could explore. So I've got some tutorials for crochet that I will link down below for you and for anyone else who's looking to learn to crochet. I've got like all the basic stitches, chain stitch, single crochet, half double crochet, double crochet, right and left-handed. So hopefully that will help you out to find kind of what works for you. So I will link all of those down below. It's a video, I think I started it a couple of years ago, but it's still good, still classic, and it should be really, really helpful. And then I also offer private lessons if you are not able to find anything local near you or you just don't want to leave your house. I've got private lessons. I don't have anything up right now for the month of August, but I will be putting those back in very, very soon. So there's a couple options for you without even leaving the comfort of your home. Next question is from Tina Temples 3. Hi, I love your podcast so much. I learned to knit when I was 8 years old, but it never won me over. I learned to crochet over YouTube 7 years ago, and I was hooked. But recently I'm working on finer projects like amigurumi, which make my wrists cramp and hurt. Since I found your podcast and channel, I've been binging and you got me into knitting again, which doesn't give me any pain in my wrists. Yay! But it does give me some pain in my shoulders. Is there anything like a good posture for knitting, or do you have tips to fix these pains? I can't just give up on knitting or crochet, right? Totally, you can't just give up. Okay, here's a few quick things that you can do. So a lot of times shoulder pain from knitting, crochet, whatever, is because we sit and we are rounded forward. So it's important, you know, I'm not like a ergonomics teacher or anything at all, but I have taken some classes and this is what I've learned from those classes. I guess that's what I'll say. In general, the best way for us to sit is like with our feet flat on the ground, right? Neutral positions. Feet are flat on the ground, knees are at 90 degrees, hips are at 90 degrees, elbows are at 90 degrees, but like relaxed. Like we don't want shoulders up, we don't want arms up like this. So what I find helpful to establish that is to, I like to sit cross-legged and then I can sit up straighter. And like every so often I just kind of check in and I'm like, roll my shoulders back and sit up straight. The other thing is taking a lot of breaks. I would take a break like every 30 minutes and get up and do something else and shake out your arms. But more frequently than that, make sure you're just like breathing in, relaxing, dropping your arms. That's going to help you remain in that neutral position. One of my favorite stretches ever is to hang in the doorway. So you put your hands on a doorway and then you like come through the doorway like that. And this stretches across there. I do this every single morning. It feels so good. Really, really tight at first, but it feels really, really good. So I hold it for like 20 seconds and then I go like this and then I do it again and it just really stretches everything out. I do have some stretches in a video that I recorded that I will link as well that are really good for like the arm and everything. So basically, sit yourself in a neutral position. That's going to be the best. Check in with yourself maybe even every row. Just breathe, roll your shoulders back, make sure you're sitting up straight. Every half an hour, get up and take a break and do something else for 5 minutes, and then do some stretches. I promise you it's going to make a huge difference, and you'll be able to knit for much, much longer. All right, I just had to run and get Toaster because he was not in here before, and then he was barking at the door. So now he's in here with us. Next question is from Chris Faith. Hi Natalie, my name is Chrissy and I wanted to know if you have any recommendations on how to start podcasts on YouTube and making knitting a full-time job like you. I'm a stay-at-home mom of 2 and knit while playing with my 2-year-old. I would love to do what you do with YouTube and design. Have you ever made things and sold them on Etsy? I think that would be a lot of fun as well. Sorry for the long question. Thanks in advance. Okay, never apologize for asking a question. I love it when you guys ask really interesting questions. So I'm going to talk about podcasting in the next question because somebody else asked something kind of similar. So let me talk about podcasting in just a second. But let's talk about making knitting, crochet, podcasting, all of that a full-time job. So I think I started Knitty Natty in December. Well, that's not true. I started my Instagram in like August of 2017. It's now August of 2021, 4 years later. And I started my podcast in December of 2018, so about 3 years ago. And I was only able to quit my full-time job in April of this year. So just like a timeline. Now this is just me. It can be different for everybody. So it's really an interesting thing. And even when I did quit my job, I wasn't really at the point yet where I probably like responsibly should have quit my job. But I was at the point where like I was working on Knitty Natty as much as work. And I was kind of like, okay, I either need to stop doing so much or I need to give myself time to do more. I need to, you know, it was kind of like, I'll never make more money doing this if I can't do it more. And the only way to do it more is to not have a full-time job other than Knitty Natty. And so that's kind of where I got to that point of like, you know, it's time to kind of just like take the risk and make it happen. And I'm so glad I did. It's been amazing. So just know it can take a long time. So podcasting only is probably not going to be enough of an income. The way people make money podcasting is by making money on Google Ads. That is not going to be enough money to make an income. And sponsorships, that eventually can be enough money to make like a full-time income, but that would mean a lot of sponsorships and a big channel and all of that. So for me personally, there's been a lot of things that have led me to the point where we are being supported, and it's by doing many different things. So the pattern design, having a membership, doing the podcast, recently doing sponsorships. What else have I been doing? Oh, teaching classes, selling merchandise, doing affiliate links. It's a lot of things. It's very multifaceted and it's so much fun. So I guess my advice would be, look at what you like doing now and start thinking about how you can make money from it and like what ways it can be profitable for you. And I worry about making products to sell because as far as like a time, effort, and money ratio go, that's probably going to be the one where it's a lot of time and effort for a very little amount of money. So it's better if you can make something like a digital product because then you do put a ton of time and effort into it, but eventually it's finished and then it can go on selling forever. You don't have to continue to create it every single time you want to sell it. So that's really one of the perks to pattern design. So I want to talk about podcasting real quick, but I want to address the next question because Ashley had a really good one. So Ashley's Knitting said, "Hi Natalie, I started a knitting podcast on YouTube and I have just a few episodes. Do you have any recommendations for new podcasters, equipment, softwares, growth, or anything else you wish you knew in the beginning? Thank you for inspiring me to start." Oh, that's amazing. If you ever want to start a podcast, my recommendation is always just go for it. So, okay, a couple things I want to share, a couple of resources. One, I have a video. It's called Grow Your Small Business with YouTube, Instagram, and I just basically answered a bunch of questions that people asked me about social media, so I will link that down below. It has a growth template tracker. It has a lot of tips on podcasting, on pattern design, on several different things that both Chrissy and Ashley asked. So if you're interested in that too, that will be on there. And then all of my equipment that I use, everything, like literally the things that I actually use, are linked in my Amazon storefront. That's always in the description box below. So if you're like, what are your favorite sock needles? What's that fan you always use? What's the neck light you use? What's the book pillow that you use? It's all in my Amazon storefront, organized in different categories, so you can go there and look. And there's one just called podcasting. So it's my camera, my tripod that I'm using right now. That's all I'm using right now. And just different stuff like that. So in the beginning, for podcasters, I think what's so important is to watch yourself back and practice, practice, practice. So my recommendation, and you said you already have a few episodes, so this is perfect, but let's say you're brand new, I would record a video that you're not gonna post. It can be like 5 or 10 minutes, and I would just record it and practice like looking into the lens instead of looking at yourself. Being more animated. I don't talk like this all the time, although I do kind of talk like this. Like, it's still me, but like, you know how it is when you answer the phone or give a presentation or record a video. Like, you have a little bit more pep, a little more animation, and that makes it more interesting for people as well. And it just takes some time to practice that and feel comfortable talking to the camera. Now I could probably talk for like 4 hours by myself in a room, and it would be second nature because I sit down and I do it week after week after week. But in the beginning, I wasn't stopping. I would record it, and then I would watch, as I edited it, I was watching the whole thing back and you know, seeing if it's entertaining, all of that stuff. And just, you know, be very analytical about, you know, as a viewer, would I like this? What would I like to see more of, less of, differently? And just really look at that and look at it outside of yourself. All right, we have one more question this week. There was a lot of questions in there, so I decided to do 6 today. So try to start getting catched up. This question is from Mimiet1. Hi, Natalie. I recently found your podcast and just enjoy you and your beautiful smile. Oh, thank you. Thank you for all of your tips and insight. It's definitely appreciated. My question is, I see you divide your yarn, yet you only knit 1 sock at a time. Just curious why not 2 at a time? And do you use magic loop? Okay, so yes, I like to divide my sock yarn into 2 50-gram skeins so that I can work on both socks side by side. I don't like doing 2 at a time socks because I don't enjoy having 2 balls of yarn attached to the sock. Plus, I just find 1 sock so much more portable. But I like having the option to do 2 at a time. I haven't done, like, simultaneously side by side. I actually haven't done that in a while, but I have the option to do it. So what I ideally would do is like cast on 1 cuff, cast them both on actually, and then work 1 cuff, work the other cuff, work 1 leg, work the other leg, so I can go back and forth between them. And I like having both the socks already started. Kind of helps avoid second sock syndrome. And then I also have socks in different places. So if I am at the heel of 1 sock, but I'm about to go into a movie, then I can take the sock that's on the leg or the foot and I can just do plain stockinette stitch knitting. So that's why I like to do that. And yes, I am a magic loop knitter. That's my preferred method for knitting small circumferences in the round. All right, let's do some announcements just real quickly. The fall garment make along is underway. We are in our first month. It started on August 15th and it is going to go through September 11th before we start the second month, but the make along as a whole goes through November 6th. So I was looking through Ravelry and I thought it might be fun. Maybe I won't do this every single week, but throughout the make along, just to kind of highlight some different projects that I saw in the chatter thread that caught my eye. So make sure you're going to the Ravelry group, chatting in the chatter thread. That is the way to win prizes. You can also post on Instagram using the hashtag fallgarmentmal. So let's take a look at a couple projects this week. First, we have Megan Shepard's Sea Glass Tee. Oh my gosh, this project is so beautiful. Emily M. Clark's Summer Sorrel. I just finished my Summer Sorrel like 2 months ago. It's such a beautiful pattern. Knee Deep in Stitches, oversized neon striped cardigan. Oh, I thought this was so cool. I love the bright stripes. Brunette Me, or Brunette Me 190, her Adamira. Oh, such a beautiful, like I love looking at the colorwork yokes. And then Sif Girl's Garden Gate. I just thought this one was beautiful as well. I will have all of these project pages linked down below if you're like, oh, what was that sweater? They will be in order as I said them. So take a look down below and you can go maybe find a new sweater pattern that you want to cast on. Coming up, the membership, the 11 Stitches membership will be opening on September 1st. It will be open the 1st through the 3rd. chair's so squeaky. So just kind of keep an eye on that. If that's something that you have been interested in, we'd love to have you join us. All right, life. Things have been, you know, just busy, lots of work. I've been trying to really get into a good routine where I am not working as much because I have been basically working all weekends. I work like late at night. I get up early in the morning. And so I'm really trying hard to like delegate more stuff to Kent, to other people, to draw some boundaries in my day, to get more efficient with things that I'm doing. I've been working towards this schedule where my big goal is that on Fridays I would only work until about noon or 1. And then we would do something really fun on Friday, and then I'd have the weekend off. There's things I'm always going to be doing here and there, but I mean, I'm talking like I'm working like 10-hour days on the weekend or more. So that's what I'm really focusing on right now. And I feel like this week I'm really close. Like I feel like next week or the next week will be like when I'm working towards my real ideal week. So I'm working really, really hard to do that, which is one of the reasons, if you've been wondering why podcasts are getting recorded so early now, instead of like typically I recorded them on Tuesdays and then they posted on Thursdays, because my husband Kent is editing them for me, and because sometimes I have sponsorships as part of my podcast where I have to submit the video even earlier. I kind of worked backwards. I'm like, okay, so if I'm posting on Thursday and it needs to be submitted 3 days before, then it would need to be ready on Monday. But I don't want to work on the weekend, so it would mean I need to record on Friday. And so I just kind of worked backwards, and I thought, you know what? I think that's going to work better for me to just have things, you know, actually work ahead. Some people just naturally do that. They like work ahead. I don't know why, but when I do, I always appreciate it. So that's something I've been working really, really hard on, and it is making a huge difference in like my stress levels. And honestly, I feel like I can do a better job because I'm not having to do things in the last minute. I can really take my time and tweak things, and I'm getting rest. And so that's what I'm working towards. That's life right now, is just working, making that business part work so that we can enjoy this amazing city that we've moved to, that we haven't been doing anything in for several weeks now because we've been so so busy. All right, bringing me joy is obviously my new sweaters. Casting on something new has been so much fun. I feel like I haven't done a new project in a while, especially a sweater, so I am really enjoying that. And I'm just gonna try to stay focused on my sweaters. Of course, I need a sock project, but stay focused and really, you know, make a lot of progress on them each and every week. So keep coming back because I'm hopefully gonna have tons to show you. I think that's everything. It's time for me to go to my nail appointment, get my nails done. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.